Welcome to the technology and innovation stage at 5G Technology. How are you feeling? The last discussion of day one.
Woohoo!
Very good. We have the energy. Excellent. Thank you for that. I would like to remind you, the ones who are here for the first time, we do have a microphone, so if we have any questions and at any time, we will address you here personally, but the ones watching us online, we welcome your questions in the comments section. Please do send us your thoughts and your questions, and we will try to manage them accordingly to the time given. But right now, I have a question for you. Which ones of you tried out the mixed reality experience that we are providing here at 5G Technology? Oh, quite a few. I don't know how about you, which were your favorite objects? I really enjoyed going through the Arc of Triumph while coming up to our room right here. So definitely a very exhilarating and fascinating technology, and that's what we're partially going to talk about here on this stage, Immersive XR technologies and digital twins, and how the ever-changing technology will affect sectors like tourism, sectors like regional development. Many topics will be covered in this next discussion by our very energetic and passionate moderator on this topic. He's the commercial director at PNET. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome on the stage, Marios Nicolaou.
Whoa! Thank you very much, everybody. And we are here to discuss exactly what you saw outside. We took a year of hard work from the team, Ali especially, to set something like this up. It was not easy. They came before to Kuldiga, scanned the museum artifacts, and we're here today to focus about how this technology can help countries like ours, Greece, for example, to use it for our tourism, our education, and our cultural preservation. So we have a distinguished panel with us today from very different domains, all the way from academia, from vendors, from operators, but especially special thanks to Ali, who comes from a completely different world of the geospatial people that usually don't mix together, but we should force it's coming together and we have to work together. So welcome to all of you. We will make this quite easy. I'll go through 3 times around. The first one is to introduce yourself and just what you're doing personally. The second time is what is happening right now as you see it from your perspectives. And then what do you see the future? Leslie, welcome. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Marios. So, hello, everybody. My name is Leslie Shannon. I am the head of trend and innovation scouting for Nokia. And, but I'm not really here to talk about anything that Nokia is doing, like with the panel I was on earlier. I'm here to talk about some of the things that I'm seeing in this category as someone who is a trend scout. I actually wrote a book about the XR industry, both VR and AR, called Interconnected Realities. And in the course of writing that book, I came across some really beautiful and sometimes mind-blowing examples of how XR technologies are being used for cultural preservation, for tourism, and for generating cultural understanding in a way that creates empathy that then leads to action. And so I'll be happy to share those examples when you come back around the second time.
Exciting. Yanni, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. My name is Yannis Markopoulos. I'm the Director of EU and International Business in Nova. Nova is a telco operator and integrator in Greece belonging to United Group, so we have a reach to at least 8 countries in Southeastern Europe. Beyond of operating large 5G and fiber network in Greece, we do integration business, especially transforming towards digitization the Greek public sector, but also involving EU agencies in this domain. We, in parallel, work in the digitization of the cultural heritage in Greece, especially museum, national opera, and so on and so forth. But on a horizontal level, we are transforming the networks and the ecosystem in order for the new XR applications, the upcoming XR applications, the applications that foresee the next generation can capitalize on the capabilities of the network and be able to proliferate. But I hope we will be able to discuss further later on.
For sure.
Thanks.
Exactly. Ali, thanks for coming. And
thank you
please.
for the great introduction, Marios. My name is Ali Hantal. I am here from DC, and I'm the CEO and founder of XR Masters, which created my Geoverse platform, which is the geospatial content management platform that you've seen the content over here. But the reason I'm here is I'm also a co-president of Open AR Cloud Association based in US, and we also have a branch in Germany. What we are all supporting is the standards for interoperability, open standards for interoperability, so that the world will be more interoperable, open, and inclusive. And we see that very important job for ourselves, that we are responsible for the future generations to come. And we will be talking more about that, but it's basically getting all the platforms that we are using right now interoperable, so that the world will not be walled gardens by these large companies, and everybody will have a chance to speak and see these great visual, augmented, and virtual realities.
Thank you very much. And Spiros, my colleague.
Hello, I'm Spiros Denazis, professor at University of Patras, Electrical and Computer Engineering Department. I have nothing to do with XR, not such kind of background, but what we are doing in our area is that we are deploying a 5G testbed near to production network. So we are hosting a lot of experiments that involve XR and VR applications. So basically my role here is to see how we can bridge the gap between the requirements coming from the vertical, let's say, or the XR VR application providers and the network itself, and how you can exploit, first of all, the capabilities, and how to bridge the gap between what we call network engineers and software engineers coming from the vertical.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to what we all see and is exciting us at this moment. Nobody better than Leslie, who is scanning all over the world. Her literal job title is scouting. So please tell us, what are you scouting?
Okay, all right. I have a list. So as I said, the kind of cultural things that I'm seeing do fall into two categories. And the first category is visualization of situations to create empathy, and then that leads to action for others. And so there's a few charities that are getting into this. One of them is Hope for Haiti. And so they're an organization that, they're trying to gather donations for Haiti, but they find that as soon as they say Haiti, people immediately imagine like a totally hopeless place where, okay, if I give them money, it's just going to get squandered, it's going to be bad, there's no point. And so what they've done is they've used XR to build an XR version, a VR version, of the actual village that they've been helping. And they've got a digital twin of the school that they have been contributing to. And so you can go in VR and actually, speak to some of the people in VR that they've actually helped. You can actually, pump water at the pump that they built with their money and everything. So since they created that, they've actually had more people donate money to Hope for Haiti because they've made it concrete. It's like, this is what your money will actually go to. So that's actually a really lovely use of VR. Another one that's a very different kind of thing is it was an art installation called Carne y Arena, which is actually, this was in a museum, but it was to help. Okay, you put on the VR headset, and then you have the experience of being an immigrant who is crossing the Rio Grande into the United States and being chased by immigration authorities. And then you're caught by the immigration authorities, and they're speaking a language that you don't speak, and they're shining lights in your eyes, and it's actually super scary. And so that was meant to generate empathy in a very different way, more of a political aim there, but to underscore the humanity of the people who are actually in the illegal immigration situation in the United States. A similar one that's not really so much a call to action or empathy, but is kind of a nostalgia piece, is Project Dastan, which, as you might know, when India became independent in 1947, millions of people had to move. The Muslims had to, many Muslims left India for Pakistan, and many Hindu left Pakistan for India. And there's people who are quite elderly now, have never been back to their home villages. And so what Project Dastan did was use VR and use 3D photography to actually recreate these home villages in VR so that people who left their homes as children in 1947 are able to revisit them today. So that's more of a bridge building and a healing kind of tool. Then there's another one which is creating a completely different kind of empathy called Project Shell. And this one gives you the opportunity to fly through the ocean as a sea turtle. And the thing is that you actually lie on your stomach while you're wearing the VR headset for this one, so that you can get the feeling of what it is to be a sea turtle, and again, creating empathy for a charity that supports sea turtles. So those are really the empathy things. On the other side, which is culture capture, this is something that, particularly in the United States, has really been used by indigenous groups. And so I'm actually, tangentially through the Virtual World Society, involved with a group called Indigenous Lifeways that is using 3D body scans of Navajo elders as they tell their stories, as they tell the old stories of the old ways and their own memories as children. And so they're rendering this in 3 dimensions so they can capture everything about the person and the storytelling before they're gone. And so capturing indigenous lifeways is another really super powerful use of VR. Then we've got similarly the Georgian College in Canada. They actually are using VR to teach the Ojibwe language to people, to urban Ojibwe who want to learn their ancestral language, but it's a really tough language. Native languages they're very far from European languages, and so it can be hard for someone who's raised speaking English to learn Ojibwe. So they've created a VR world where you can actually get that practice if there's nobody actually around you who is speaking Ojibwe anymore. And so I think there's a lot that I love all of these, but that one also has a really strong possibility for kind of furthering a culture. And then the last 2 examples that I have here are Tuvalu. Of course, they've been very much in the news. They're losing their entire country, Pacific Island, to the rising ocean. So they've made a point of actually capturing the entire island and rendering it in VR so that after it's gone, people can still visit Tuvalu as it was. And another similar thing is the Mesa Verde culture in the United States. That's the Pueblo Indians, and that was abandoned hundreds of years ago, and now it's just a national park, and you walk through, and there's a lot of buildings that are empty, and they're using actual on-site XR to recreate what life was like for the Pueblo Indians who lived in Mesa Verde at the time. So all of these, and those are just like, that's just the highlights. So, but there's so many different groups out there that are working on this, and what's really wonderful is that every single one of these things that I've highlighted is created by a small group of people who are trying to make a difference. And that's one of the really beautiful things about VR and AR and the tools that are out there now, the kind of tools that Ali, you're creating through OpenAR Cloud and contributing to. And so you don't have to be associated with a large corporation in order to capture, preserve, and share whatever it is that's going on in your life and your particular world. This is just the tip of what I hope will be a very large iceberg.
Thank you so much. Yanni, you're closer to the consumer than all of us, and I think you've done a few of these, so please give us your perspective.
Thank you very much. I will start from the human factor,
of course,
but I will try to see how we can address the market in the most easy, approachable way, and probably remove some barriers. We have seen excellent initiatives so far. We have done ourselves as well, some of them. Museums, digitization of museums, artifacts, even open spaces, but still they are very good initiatives, but silos. Even if we refer to platforms that can accommodate third-party or small group applications, still there are silos. On the other hand, we have a lot of investments in the telecom world, which is changing now. 5G towards 6G, virtualization of the applications and the whole architecture. And what we are trying to do now, even with the help of EU and SNS in the Project FIDAL and others project, we try to dismantle the architecture of the VR XR applications and have common applications operated by the network. In this way, we can use in the most proficient way the resources of the network and leave the application developers do their own thing, be creative on what they are doing. In this way, we can guarantee that not every part of the stack will be implemented again and again in all applications, and knowledge can be shared, can be easier conveyed, can be more approachable, can be more efficient and less costly to the people. So we are working in changing this ecosystem, also in parallel standardizing the applications, the interfaces, and by this we can enter this domain, and we will not stop on the cultural events. I think the cultural events, the cultural artifacts are the starting point. The VR XR holographic communication is where we should aim, because such an augmented XR reality applications, it's something that will be the new reality in the next 5 to 10 years from now. So we should bridge the real world with the cultural world, with the extended world, with the help of a new ecosystem, being that comprised of application developers, network application developers who know exactly how we can best use the network, and network vendors and operators in one and unified ecosystem.
Thank you very much. Ali, give us your perspective, which is completely different from what we are usually used to.
Yeah. Actually, my perspective starts with how I'm excited to be here, because that means that the process has already started with telecommunications, networks, and finally XR is coming together. And the reason for that is digital twins have been around, but when we start talking about digital twins in the sense that we geo-align them, and now we are one-to-one, and we can now create content that will be persistent and shared and multi-user, synchronously used by multi-users. Now we're talking about geospatial, and because we're talking about that, now we are also talking about some standards, and the standards come into play now because of 5G and 6G, because up until now this wasn't even much possible, because we were not able to put great content on the geospatial location so that everybody can share. Now we are able to do it more and more, and the importance there is what we're seeing is, especially with the glasses, AR, VR glasses, we call them video see-through, pass-through, so you are now having a VR and an AR glass at the same time. Now it's even getting better, but the idea about all of this is we're getting a lot of activity in this new field, and we're very happy about that. But think about this, there's Vera DG artwork. Vera DG is a Ukrainian artist, amazing artist. We have her 5 or 6 artwork right there at the corner of this hall, and she does this and she puts this out on the streets. And when you put it out on the street on a platform, now think about your cell phone working on another country. This platform, that content should be visible by other content platforms and apps. That was not possible, and we are now at OpenAI Cloud with Open Geospatial Consortium, another standards developer organization, and Metaverse Standards Forum, another umbrella organization. We are now working very hard and getting a lot of support from the industry now to make that available, so that one creator puts thousands of work on Riga streets, and then another platform or application can go and view it. That's what we're all after, and we're happy that it is really very active these days.
Thank you very much. Spiro, from a technology and network perspective, I think you're very the right person to give us the perspective, please.
Yeah. Although I would like to start from the theme of this session, the area that University of Patras is located is full of history. Okay, in front of the university there was the famous Lepanto battle that basically stopped the Ottoman Empire to expand towards west. 1 hour driving is the Olympia, where the Olympic Games take place there. So one of the things that we have started discussing about when with some companies that they were creating content for these kind of things is how easy it is to basically blend the physical environment where you see and the actual historical event that is taking place. It is as if you are within a movie, being at the physical place itself. So the challenges are many, and it is not possible to do that in a fast kind of way. Therefore, what you need to do, because there are a lot of resources, is not just 6G, it is also the servers, the rendering that is required in order to do all this kind of stuff. So we started discussing, and we basically realized that what we need to build is to build a dedicated kind of test beds for this kind of type of applications, so that you will be able to give the necessary APIs and the resources for the people to start doing development. And this is not something that is straightforward, and at the same time there is the issue of standard APIs. Okay, even for the VPS system, you need somehow to agree on the kind of API that is going to be to position the object or the artifact exactly at the same place, while you have also, let's say, created the model of the landscape of the area in order to be able to mix the digital world with the physical world. So for us, it's not just about the let's say the capabilities of the network. We feel that it is more or less there, but rather the platforms and the APIs that are required in order to invite people, artists, in order to create all these kind of things. It's a joint effort, not just a team with a specific expertise that requires a lot of integration in order to produce the effect. And a final note, I think that the education is also changing very drastically. So imagine that schools from all over the world to be able to connect to a place where they can actually see the history taking place live in front of them. So there is a lot of potential for this kind of things, which might be even better than seeing a movie. Okay.
Thank you very much. So let's move to the future. We've seen, at least we tried to push the envelope about what is possible, and you can see it outside, what is possible today. And we all feel that something is coming, and you know, we might not even can imagine what is coming. I'll give you my perspective and my interest. Everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, but I believe that intelligence should be localized. So, and following you, and giving you context and assistance where you are. So I make a little bit of a pledge to try next year, so that one of the statues that you see eventually starts to walk with you around the conference and start to help you to find your way, and maybe even keep you company and give you information about everything you need to know about Riga. We will try. So Leslie, what do you see for the future?
Yeah, well, actually, you mentioned AI. And so one of the things that I'm looking at, actually, this answer does take me back to my job. One of the things that I'm looking at quite a lot is generative AI and how generative AI merges with the network. Because if we're asking generative AI to create something new for us, because that's really, it's power, the ability to create new images, new videos, new 3D objects. I mean, many people have heard of OpenAI's DALL-E. Well, they also have Point-E, which can create a three-dimensional digital object. And so the ability using mixed reality glasses along the lines of Meta's Orion, which is still in developer beta and will be won't be with us for a couple of years still, but we're starting to really see the possibility of commercial grade AR glasses that can create visual objects on demand, and putting that together with generative AI. Yep. So the ability to go even one step before, because what you're talking about will require a lot of people coding and setting things up and everything ahead of time. We're looking down the road, 5 years, maybe 10 years from now, instead we'll be able to call these kinds of things up from our own imagination. So, hey, glasses, create a Latvian warrior from 1300. I have no idea what a Latvian warrior from 1300 even look like. To be my guide as I walk through Riga today and to tell me about the highlights. And then poof, there it is. That's the kind of thing that we now, really, literally, just within the last about 18 months, have all the building blocks on the table that we can now see how something like that could be built. And so, and that's really what I do in my particular role, is I look for building blocks, and when we have a complete set, it's like, oh, okay, this is the kernel of something that we will be experiencing down the line. But to take it back to networks for just a second, one of the challenges that we're seeing with this kind of on-the-go compute, because really this is a compute question, is where do you put the compute? Because that kind of computing is not going to be sitting in the actual glasses themselves, because the amount of compute necessary for that kind of rendering, for that kind of creating, will make the headset really rather unfashionable. Not to mention heavy and expensive and hot, so nobody would wear it. Okay, so you've got to take the compute away from the headset. Okay, well, Google and Apple are both looking at putting the compute in the handset, Samsung as well. That's fine for them. But Meta does not own a handset, and they do not want to be beholden to anyone else. So the Meta Orion, the reference model right now, actually has a little thing that you stick in your pocket, and it connects to the headset through Bluetooth. Well, and then all the computing is happening there, so it's still all local. The problem is that this thing, the Pocket Puck, it gets super hot after 3 hours. I haven't experienced it directly, but I hear it gets so hot people are afraid it's going to burn holes through their clothing. So what Meta has done for now, with Orion currently in its developer early beta phase, they've limited the battery life to 2 hours just to get around that heating up problem. And okay, that's a good workaround for now, but honestly, the only long-term solution for this kind of thing, this kind of heavy computing that you need to generate your 1300s Latvian warrior, is for the computing to go into the network. And so where in the network is it going to sit? It needs to be somewhere pretty close, because you need low latency. If my warrior is going to be seen to be standing on the ground, and for that persistence to have to continue, it's going to need to be low latency. So it can't be too far from me, can't be really deep in the network. But the question is, the problem is, if you put this kind of compute too close to the end user, it's then too distributed, which means it isn't cost effective for operators. So this is really the thing that we're kind of balancing right now. And now, okay, I didn't intend to go here, but anyway, this is a real plug for Nokia. We are now working, this is announced only last month, with NVIDIA and T-Mobile in the US, and Nokia and Ericsson. The four of us are working together on the concept of AI RAN. And so it's NVIDIA GPUs in every single base station. Now the idea is to use those GPUs to actually make RAN more efficient. But NVIDIA plans to put extra GPUs in there for compute workloads actually integrated with the network. And this is the kind of thing that we will need to support our 1300 Latvian warrior. And so, right, so this is the kind of thing. Now, this is super early days. We won't be looking at the results from this till like 2030s. But, you know, I personally believe, especially when we look at monetization of mobile networks, you know, we've provided a lot of connectivity already. I think that providing distributed computing power is actually going to be the next frontier of monetization for our industry. And so this kind of AI RAN is one way to start cracking open that nut.
I was waiting to see when we're going to hear the term AI RAN.
Yeah, right.
And I guess it's
it's for me,
brilliant.
yeah.
But it was coming. Yanni, what do you see in the future?
I think this initiative is excellent, the GPUs from NVIDIA. We totally support it for the future, of course. And the virtualization of the networks that goes along with this, also the transfer of the required applications at the areas that are really needed and cease when they are not needed. So I will talk about the vision for the future based on such type of architectures, not only technology but architecture, but also I would like to talk about the significant challenge that comes with this. Please. So we see the future of VR, AR, it's not only bounded in a 3D world. We want to work in what we will call Internet of Senses. So interactivity through VR, XR creates emotions, creates sentiments, creates feelings. Okay. And this can be transferred through the network, like in the real world. So we are still working on this, and it has practical applications in training police forces, in training troops, even in education, in gaming, and so on and so forth, attending concerts as well. So with the help of the technology, because concepts are good, but without technology, without the right architecture, you cannot really manage it. Seeing Colosseum or Parthenon, and a huge amount of people are around the monument, but the network fails. So what's the point to have a very good XR application if it doesn't work? Which is the challenge now. We understand that all this create a huge amount of data, AI, training models, and so on and so forth, but also intimacy between the mobile, the UE, and the persona, and the individual. So how we handle the privacy protection, how we handle security. The only way to handle it properly is not to enforce it a posteriori. We have to have a methodology in order to have security by design in all such measures. And we believe that the network operator and the network applications can ensure both service level agreement, quality, and security and encryption in all transactions in order to safeguard the individuality and privacy of the end user. This should be a huge challenge along with the proliferation of such exciting XR services.
Very good point, yes. So this comes with a lot of new challenges. Thanks for pointing them out. Ali, one of them that I'm interested in is the precision of the location, of the localization, yeah? So what do you see in the future, but also how are you guys working to improve even the geolocation of things?
Yeah, actually, AI on this case is not new, right? The VPS, visual positioning system, which we're using here, is you look at a place, it recognizes by visual positioning by a VPS, recognize where it is, requires a lot of AI, and they have been working on that, VPS providers. So that is going there, but what I see is like right now what we're working on in some different funds from Metaverse Standards Forum projects and OpenAI Cloud, for instance, is to be able to find the right service at that location that gives the best location service to you. So this could be outdoors, one service, and then the system should recognize where it is and with seamlessly to the user detects another VPS service, which means, again, localizing where the device is with its orientation. It's a term we call geopose. We hope everybody knows more about that. It's like your location and orientation in the world. So it can detect another service that provides that and switches to that and seamlessly goes on with that. And then if you go out, another one continues doing that. We feel like this would be one of the most important developments that we're working on, and hopefully bring it to standards, and so that will be the interoperable way to do it right around the world, so that service providers can be utilized that way. Otherwise, we will be bound with one of them, and if they do not share that geopose, that service that we're talking about, the location, then you cannot switch around. Again, go back to your GSM phone going to from a country to another. It works because there is standards, like the internet with standards. So I believe this is one of the areas we need to develop a lot in the near future. And another one is like what Leslie was talking about. Actually, the reason I met Leslie long years ago was how we can bring in photorealism to the actual augmented reality, which means if you're looking at a building and there's sun, we know where the sun is, and then we can cast a shadow knowing where the sun is, which actually this building doesn't even exist, right? So that's another way that I think we will be working a lot with telecom world, and we will need to work together. But in my personal idea, I think one thing that should be known is I believe audio AR will be a lot more faster coming to our life than visual AR. I don't know if you have known about the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I mean, they're great, you're talking to them, but I mean, you need to be able to hear things sometimes. We did a project in Norway, Halden, city of Halden, for people who cannot see, and that's an AR wayfinding through audio. So that requires geospatial location accuracy, so that now you're not only putting it like we did here, AR wayfinding, you need to be able to speak it to the person's ears. And now you're talking about these avatars, and Leslie was talking about that, creating it on site. Yeah, that's amazing to be able to create a 1300 soldier, but then that soldier giving you exact information about where he is or she is right at that point requires that geolocation anchoring, and that's, I believe, where the world is heading through.
Thanks. Maybe a little bit. There will be time for Q&A at the end. Yeah. So maybe just one more minute about the work of the Metaverse Standards Forum, and how fast are you satisfied about our connection of the telecom work, the IT world, and the geospatial world?
We are happy it's happening, but I think it has to be a lot more and a lot faster because we are in the process of putting standards into place. And now we're working for instance, an open VPS initiative, which means like open internet. Instead of relying to large companies, we should have one open VPS, which is free to everyone. Everyone actually puts value to it, and everyone receives value out of it. I think that's one of the reasons we're looking for partners, as well as we're looking partners from telecom world, and we're looking from government agencies, and especially in educational institutions. We're now looking for test beds at OpenAI Cloud, at Metaverse Standards Forum, and at Open Geospatial Consortium. So if anyone here as a government agency or educational institution, this is completely non-profit, and we are looking to partner up so that we can bring our minds, students and professors coming together on this initiative for giving the world a better future. I think this is what we owe to the next generations. As I said earlier, this is how we're going to make free will survive, is what we believe. If you want to survive free will, if you want to talk about it, please find me. I'll be here all day today, tomorrow as well.
Thank you very much. Spiro, what do you see the future bringing us?
I don't know.
Best guess.
I think the one, I would like to make a comment of what was said before regarding the distributed computational resources. That will increase the needs for management of the network, and we should be very careful. Okay, the whole thing, imagine that you can have at every base station, which are tens of thousands, to have computational capabilities. That means that you have somehow to be able to deploy those services, run those services the duration of the service and then tear them down in order to upload the new ones. So for us, because we are doing a lot of work regarding the hosting of experiments in our facilities, this is not straightforward. So we need somehow to increase the automating, let's say, capabilities of the network from a management perspective, and also to be able to somehow build those applications on demand that are required. For this, we need, let's say, a playground where we can try all of these things and see what, because there is always a trade-off. It reminds me, for example, what was said 20, 25 years ago about active networks, okay, where they were discussing about the packets coming and processing those packets on the fly. So it is really something similar to what was said in order to do that at the base station. Just this is my 5, let's say, cents.
History repeats itself, technological history.
Yeah, okay.
It does.
Things become more mature as we go by, and then it makes sense to revisit some initial ideas.
I think we're out of time. We're going to have 5 minutes for Q&A. Pauls, just 1 second.
My name is Pauls. I'm managing director of one of the leading management and business consultancies from Latvia. I'm multi-sectoral, multicultural, physically based here, but working virtually in almost all countries. And I have a great pleasure to work together with Ali. We are now trying to make Latvia as the first testbed in the world of implementing his XR technology here. And we know one of the main challenges is sports industry. We know that there are actually 2 main challenges, because, you know, when A team plays with A team, everybody wants to go to arena. But when A team plays with C team, we prefer to staying at home watching the game, and then how to get spectators to arena, and how to get also not professional spectators, wives, girlfriends, kids there, and how to entertain them. And yesterday we were invited to the basketball game. Our leading club VEF played with AEK from Greece, and we did some tests yesterday in Arena Riga. And now I would like to touch upon a practical aspect of your, let's say, implementation of your technology. Okay, it works perfectly here in the hallways, but I'm a visionary guy, and I would like to see that, let's say, Arena Riga, we can host like 11,000 spectators, and let's say, okay, some will be with glasses, but majority will use apps through the phone. How, talking about localization and accuracy, how you can ensure that 5,000 people are involved with your technology simultaneously during the game, not in a hallway, but sitting right in their seats. So
Great
when you
question, Paul. Thanks a lot. Yeah. So who wants to take a shot at it? Nobody?
I can take it. Yeah,
Ali's going to take a shot at it.
That would, there's a problem with inside the arena, because what we do is normally we go and create a digital twin point cloud of the location, which we did yesterday actually until late time here. So when you do that and then people come and sit on these seats, the digital twin is not the same anymore. So that's when you start having tracking problems. Even understanding where you are initially becomes very problematic. And there are other things other ways of doing things there, which goes back to some old technologies. But everyone is now working on, in our industry, trying to figure out how we can get that problem of the digital twin not being the same. And it's all about visual. So when you look at things and if they change, now the computer vision doesn't understand where it is, right? That's one of the biggest troubles. And there are certain ways that we are also R&D working on it, and there are funds that we even received for one, and we are working on those. But for that purpose, it looks like the easiest would be still go back to an old system where you have a GPS. If GPS is available indoor, at that location might not, then provide some GPS, at least some content that's not accurately geolocated there. So there are others coming in, and we will definitely be working on those and let you know when those things are more available.
Any other quick question in the...
Maria?
Yes, please. Jan.
So, this is an excellent question, and it looks like everything is simple because this is how it should be from the end user point of view or the application point of view, because you see an area that you can deploy your services, a marketplace. But from the application, from the infrastructure point of view, in order to provide such a quality, you need to go gradual. You need to go stepwise. We are currently experimenting with infrastructure like that, supporting virtual conferences. Some attendants being on the place, wearing VR glasses, some others are away, but we are talking about 20, 30, 100 people. We have to go gradually deploying such architectures in not all over the place, but to specific domains where we can support such changes in the digital twins. We are not talking about one or two people changing the digital twins by their own presence. We've done that in Maria Callas' event in Greece, but it only involved one or two people. When you have thousands of people, unpredictable amount of people attending an event, then you need to have more flexible, more powerful architecture and equipment and network in order to support in near real time such reactions. And we are getting there. I think in a couple of years we may discuss this again.
If you get there, please let me know.
Okay, we will. We will.
No, but we've also all seen work of dynamic crowdsourcing. So as more people come and they give a view of how the environment is changing, then it goes to the network to be able to get it and adapt quickly. That it has to be a dynamic system. It could not be a static, nice, uploaded digital twin that will be there the same forever. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, also, some protocols might need to be introduced.
Yes, that's why we have the standardization people here. I think we've reached the end, or is there any other questions?
A few minutes if you want to, if there are any questions.
Any other questions for our esteemed panelists?
All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. I guess that's it for questions right now.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Wide perspectives, exciting users. So
An amazing technology that will definitely bring a lot of promise from the future, and I wish for us not to lose the human touch in all of this, because that is definitely important. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say a round of applause to our panel and our distinguished moderator.